much anymore, but I generally will try to make it at least once or twice a month.
Yeah,
And I'll be gone Thursday.
Good place.
Wednesday, Thursday. I will.
Call the meeting to order.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Open the meeting, public comment. Is there any public comment? Yes, sir. Go to the podium, please.
Oh, sure. Thank you for allowing me a few moments to speak to the commissioners. Good morning. My name is Dennis Nelson. I'm here representing the Three Forks Rural Fire District and Fire Department. Obviously, I think you gentlemen and ladies are well aware that we handle the south half of Broadwater County and the subdivisions down in that area for fire protection. Those fire department regs were written any number of years ago, handling all of the various needs and what have you for water supply, roads, accesses, etc. We've got a problem down there, and it's a pretty serious one. One of the main concerns we have, obviously, is this firefighter safety, right along with the safety of the inhabitants in the subdivision. One specific subdivision right now only has one usable access egress for fire protection, for emergency vehicles, for sheriff, whatever. This is due to a number of things. The main reason right now is that there's a road closure on the west side of Mountain View subdivision that has closed off a private road. It is a private road. It is not a county road either in Jefferson County or Broadwater County, but it is a private road that's been closed off. That road concessions were made, whatever they were years ago, that road would be accessible for fire protection for emergency services. Being now it's closed off, it's presented a dangerous situation for our firefighters going into that subdivision. Keep in mind, that's a lightning alley out there with a whole lot of grass fire potential. You know what happened a couple of weeks ago with the two helicopters up on Milligan Canyon. If that fire had been down in the bottom down there, why, we might have been able to catch it up here around Toston someplace. With all of that being said, what I'd like the county commissioners to do, along with county planning, with your road engineer, with your county attorney, would be to arrange for a sit down, not only with you folks, but also with the fire department. The fire district is more than willing to sit down and help you, because we do need to keep our firefighters' safety. We'd like to solve this problem. We need a second access in and out of that subdivision, and right now I'm not sure how we're going to get it. All of that being said, and obviously we're going to continue to provide fire protection for that subdivision. That's without a question. However, because of the unsafe situation, we are going to direct our firefighters, whether they be the incident commanders, the fire chief, the truck bosses go in on any particular instance up there. We're going to direct them that it's up to their discretion. If they feel that they can safely go in and handle an incident, whether it be a garage in December that's on fire or a blazing grass fire in July and August, we're going to leave it up to their discretion, and if they have to pull out, they will be directed to pull out. So we're asking you folks to please sit down and realize just how serious this situation is for not only our firefighter safety, but also the inhabitants within that subdivision. And the purpose of my stop here today, or my presentation, is just to get it officially on the record that this is a serious problem, and we're asking Broadwater County to please address it as quickly as you possibly can, and let's come up with a solution on it. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public comment? Yeah.
Oh, yes, name is Alan
Alan Wright, and I just have a quick, up on the upper end of Indian Creek above the lime plant, the road that's up there. I'd like to find out if there is a maintenance schedule for that, or if it's been taken off of any road maintenance repairs, so that I can then make my decisions what needs to be done. The road is, it's in need of repair. If nothing else, you can grade some topsoil, put in the holes for a while, but, the road just needs to be looked at. It's maintenance, that's all. Just, so, if somebody'd like to go up there and take a drive, Auto Alley, you can take a drive. Thank you.
Thanks, Ellen.
Can I ask a question, Mike?
Yes.
Mary, we went over a list of roads to be worked on.
Right, yes,
Is
so,
that,
yeah.
that's part of that, right?
Yeah, Indian Creek, that part of Indian Creek is part of it, Alan. It's on my list for the fall. I sat down with the road foreman last week and Daryl and went through the list of projects that we have to do this fall, and I do want them to fix that. So that will
Well,
be done.
this would be nice,
That will be done.
because the potholes are so bad now, you cannot stay on the road and not hit a pothole. And it wouldn't hurt to bring some dirt with you, some fill, because it hasn't been done for 20 years,
That's part of our plan, Alan.
so. But I would like to know, if you're not gonna make it, let me know,
We will make it.
so that I can make provisions.
We'll make it up there.
I mean, there's.
Okay, Kate, we can't go back and forth between each other.
Oh.
Okay. We got it, thank you.
Any other public comment?
My name is Josh Shively, and I actually live, the road in which Denny was referring to is actually, that was closed. It falls across my property, which is actually in Jefferson County. And it's been a little bit of it's been interesting. I've got probably 80 to 120 hours in research into easements, both in Broadwater and then in Jefferson County. There was some, just across the county line in Jefferson County, that's an agricultural zoning district. It's the Boulder, the Boulder Valley, Milligan Canyon Agricultural Zoning District. Nothing was to be developed in anything less than 640 acres. In 2007, I believe, Bernie Jones purchased some property out there, did some family transfers, broke up 320s, a 40, a 60, and 280s, and then sold them through the family transfer. Broke them up through family transfer and then distributed them into development. I ended up with one of the 20-acre pieces. There was some serious miscommunication, lack of clarification in regards to how that was split up and then how the easements and the road access was. The road it's not been closed, they're gates, so I'm not legally allowed to prevent any traffic. There's only one granted easement that we can find. I spent quite a bit of time with county planner in Jefferson County, as well as some in Broadwater, county attorneys, the original surveyor that did all the surveying for Mountain Vista, Rolling Glen, the roads that we're talking about. I've had my own attorney look into it quite a lot. And the reason that the gates are up is due to a culvert. There's a 6.5 foot, 7 foot concrete flue, which was actually at one point a concrete flue that belonged to Broadwater County. It was pulled out and rejected. These people picked it up and put it in there across, underneath the road prior to me buying the property. It's since washed out and is in pretty rough shape. Well, in going through the process of figuring out who was gonna fix it and what needed to be done, all this easement stuff came to light. And there's a substantial liability with having that on my property. And it's recorded as a private easement, it's private property, it's marked on both sides. It seems like there's been some miscommunication, from near as I can tell, with the subdivision, Mountain Vista, and that being a possibility for a secondary access. I can't find any proof, me or anyone that I've worked with, find any proof that was ever, none of it was ever in writing on our end anyway. There would have had to have been a grant of easement of sorts, and that's but able to be produced. My concern as a property owner, I got my own issues that I'm dealing with. We're going through all the processes of lawyer to lawyer and sorting out easement stuff already. but it's been brought up that that could be turned into a secondary easement, and that would be a bad situation if that was to be looked at, I think. Just because the property wasn't sold as that being a possibility, and or it ever being a public road. So I think I've probably made my concerns clear.
Are you located in Jefferson County? One side of the fence is Jefferson County, where the road is actually Jefferson County. The other
Yeah.
side of the fence is Broadwater County, right?
That's correct, and it's tricky because, my property line is actually the boundary between Broadwater and Jefferson County. It's a county line, and so the road, the one that's got the gates across it with the faulty culvert, has got, it's in Jefferson County. The subdivision is in Broadwater County, and there was a lot that went on, and it's tricky. There's Shoddy Springs Road. If you look at it, are you guys familiar somewhat with the area? Okay, so you're aware of Wheeland Road, and then there's Shoddy Springs Road that comes off of Jefferson, and it dropped into what was Dunbar Road. Those were farm roads. They'd been in for forever, since early 1900s. Earliest I can see, as far as a grant of easement on any of those roads, was 1929, I think May 8th. But they've been there for a long time. Dunbar was in, I think, was initially when Dixon had that subdivision, was gonna be the secondary easement. And then it was tore out and then farmed over, and that kinda went away. So I don't know, there's a lot to be kinda cleared up, I guess, clearly, but I wanted to be known that I was concerned of any possibility of that being turned into a secondary egress or ingress for the subdivision, just.
Okay, so there is one, granted easement right now, correct?
It is, it's for Dennis
For
Ron.
Dennis Ron.
For a farmer,
Right.
yep.
So
For his
so is
agricultural
that gonna
purpose
stay,
only.
I guess my question is that always gonna stay that way?
We're kind of in that, it's tricky, in order for, and honestly, because of the extent in which the attorneys are involved, I can't comment on that too much. There's some negotiation in process or negotiation in taking place that has gotta be sorted out first.
So is it your intent to remove that road at some point if you can?
It just depends. I'm not really sure. It kind of comes down to what we can come up, because I clearly haven't got a problem with farmers and ranchers doing their thing. I've got a long-standing agricultural background, fully aware of that was all taking place while I was out there. I bought out there because it was an agricultural zoning district. I was 24 years old. You look at the covenants, you look at the way it was platted, you look at the zoning. I didn't look into it any further. I wasn't aware of what family transfer was, or the ramifications, or the review process of that, which it sounds like can be handled differently county to county. It really just comes down to a liability issue. And as of now, it wasn't put in correctly, so it's not, it needs to be probably 20 feet longer, because surprisingly enough, we get a fair amount of wash out there. I've got, that 6-foot culvert will fill to the point that it's completely buried, and you can't see the culvert anymore, and so it's washed out, and because it was, I think in the process of being torn out the first time or reinstalled, the seams on the culvert flue, the concrete flue were cracked and broken, so it actually washes through and around the culvert. So the whole thing's pretty unstable, and actually, the farmer, there were a couple of them, they went through and they put one cable with hooks on the top of the culvert holding it together. If you took that cable off, the 6-foot section would fall into the field and you'd have about an 8-foot roadway with a 15-foot drop. It's a type of situation, it's not a matter of somebody's gonna run off the road and dent up their car. They're gonna roll probably a minimum of twice and be upside down. It's pretty dangerous, and it's very real. So I don't know, that's a difficult question to answer. It kind of depends. There was a lot of farming taking place in that country prior to that road being upgraded to what it is now. And there was no maintenance schedule recorded. That's just it. It's tricky. I'm 100% for family transfer. I think it's definitely got its place, but the parameters that are set around it are unfortunately.
So the folks at Shoddy Springs now have to exit out through Mountain View, is that correct?
They don't have to. That's a choice that they've chosen.
Okay.
Yeah.
You'd still allow them to exit?
It's just gates. It's all it is. It's tricky with all the development the Broadwater County has seen in that edge of the county. There's a lot of traffic out there, and like I say, there's on both ends of the road. There are private property, no trespassing, private road, privately maintained. It's clearly marked, but you get a lot of traffic, a lot of people driving, and so the purpose of the gates was really just to try to limit that, mitigate the risk as much as possible. And I've got a legal obligation. I'd be found 100% negligent if I was to allow continued traffic over that culvert in the condition that it's in. I've never been in a lawsuit, I just assume steer clear of one.
Are you open
And-
to some discussions for later on? I mean, I can see that, you know, we've got a lot more to talk about
Yeah,
than what we have time for here this morning.
yeah, no, that's fine. Are you talking after the meeting?
What, no,
Today or just
later on.
down the road?
'cause- yeah.
That's fine, yep.
Yeah.
So, in your research for these easements, did you look into Dunbar Road at all
I did
in
quite a bit.
Broadwater County?
Yeah, there's been a fair amount of work done in regards to into Dunbar Road,
So
into Dunbar, and then there's also a 60-foot easement, and why, I'm not, you know, there's a lot of things that took place, I'm sure, back in the day. Typically, my understanding is when you have a county easement, which was common, on section lines, and at least on some county lines, it'd be split between counties. This county line's got a power line that actually runs right down the line, and I don't know if that was the reason, but instead of 30 and 30 on Broadwater and Jefferson, from everything I've been able to find, and the surveyor that I had, that actually is from Townsend here, that did a lot of that work, what she could turn up, it shows all of the 60-foot county easement in Broadwater County. But, yeah, we found, it seems as though Dunbar Road was abandoned, but not the easement.
Was Dunbar abandoned or was it closed?
Sorry, we went through this a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I don't know, I mean, these are questions, this is, all I can do is regurgitate what I found, I
Right.
can't prove that it's, or guarantee that it's correct, but, it's somewhat of a gray area. Cause I've heard both, I've heard that the easement still stands, it was never abandoned or closed, I've heard that the road was closed, and then I've heard that the road was abandoned, which are clearly two different things. It seems as though there's question whether or not, it was closed because they farmed over it, but
Yeah.
whether there was legal right to do so remains yet to be seen, I think.
Can you spell your last name for me, Josh?
It's SHIVELY.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir?
Mr. Chairman, Mike Conti, Broadwater County DES. I'd like to address this issue. It's very important for firefighters to have an access to get out. It's really critical. And the Three Forks Rural Fire District has a really good concern. There's at times we have some wildland fires, grass fires, that you need a way to get out, as well as citizens need a way to evacuate, as our emergency vehicles need to come and go. I can't speak for the Sheriff's Office, but it's very important that we take this issue serious and address this issue. Access. Thank you.
Hi,
Hello.
I'm Diane Kohlberg, and I live in Mountain Vista subdivision. And I'm actually probably a majority landowner in that subdivision. And I bought it from Joe Dixon, bought out his declarant rights and everything. So I just wanted to let you know that we would really love to see something happen here, because we do have these guys running through the subdivision on this road that we can barely maintain ourselves. That, you know, it's washboard a lot of the way, and it can't be fun for them dragging these trailers down. And pretty soon they're gonna be shipping cattle, and they're gonna be shaking their semis through the subdivision. And there's not a lot of people in the subdivision yet, but there's still families, there's kids running around, and, you know, there's still some safety there too. And like I said, we can barely afford to manage this road ourselves. And we just got it up to where we could get the mail lady to come in again. So, and now it's bad again, and so you can see it's just a snowball effect. And we don't wanna cut anybody off, and we can't, as far as, you know, this subdivision dedicated the road to the public. I don't know what kind of regulations we can put on it, you know, we put a speed limit and all of those things, but I think we can all agree that it's not real safe to have the big trucks and everybody, and they don't wanna come through there. And I think we'd all just like to see a resolution and make everybody, and, I guess we understand, and or at least I understand, there is no easement on to Josh's Road that we have. There's no secondary easement. For some reason, this subdivision was approved with only one legal access. I'm not sure how that happened, but for 88 lots, there's only one access. And that's an interesting issue in itself. from what I understand, that Dunbar Road was never actually a county easement. And never, there's an easement on the plat. The surveyor didn't know why that it was on there, but she couldn't find any documentation that it was ever an actual county road. But like I said, I think if we could get on your agenda and really present this or get something figured out, that would be really great. We would all like to see a resolution. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Okay, so we will move on to our 10:15 public hearing to request distribution of Bridge Road Safety Accountability Program funds. So we will close the commission meeting and open the public hearing for the request for distribution of Bridge Road Safety and Accountability Program funds. Mary?
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good
I have
morning.
for you here a resolution for the disbursement of the Bridge and Road Safety Accountability Act funds.
Thanks, Mary.
There you go. Would you like me to read this?
Yes, please.
All right, so this is titled, "A Resolution Requesting Distribution of Bridge and Road Safety and Accountability Program Funds." Whereas the Bridge and Road Safety and Accountability account requires the Montana Department of Transportation to allocate accrued funds to cities, towns, counties, and consolidated city-county governments for construction, reconstruction, maintenance, and repair of rural roads, city or town streets and alleys, bridges, or roads and streets that the city, town, county, or consolidated city-county government has the responsibility to maintain. And whereas a city, town, county, or consolidated city-county government that requests funds under the Bridge and Road Safety and Accountability account must match each $20 requested with $1 of local government matching funds. And whereas a city, town, county, or consolidated city-county government requesting distribution of allocated funds may make such a request to the Department of Transportation between March 1st and November 1st of the year the funds were allocated. And whereas the project to be funded is installation and replacement of culverts and increase in road elevations in the Toston Northwest project area. And whereas the local match for the allocated funds has been budgeted from the road fund. Therefore, now it be resolved by the Board of County Commissioners of Broadwater County, Montana, that 1, Broadwater County requests distribution of its share of the allocated bridge and road safety and accountability funds to be used for the projects identified herein. 2, that the Commission hereby empowers and authorizes the Broadwater County Public Works Director to execute such further documents as may be necessary to facilitate the distribution of said funds.
Is there any public comment?
What, are we running out of money?
What's that?
Are they running out of money for that? The
No.
roads and stuff?
No, BARSA is Montana Department of Transportation. These are fuel tax monies. So it's money that the counties and cities get from state government for the fuel tax. So this is the fuel tax distribution. And those funds have to be allocated to a specific project or projects. So that's the purpose of this, is to identify which project it's going to.
Yes, Al?
So I guess, like, could you give an example of what a project would be?
This
or-
particular project is for the installation and replacement of culverts and increasing the road elevation in the Toston Northwest area. So this would be Lone Mountain Road, Spikes Lane, Highway 437, Hosfeld Lane, and Muddy Lane. That was subject to all the flooding 2 years ago. So what we'd like to do is take the money from Barca and dedicate it towards some work that we're doing there.
And so that's a 20-to-1 ratio to where the, if I understood what you said there?
Yes, yes.
Any other public comment? Okay, we will close the hearing and reopen the commission meeting for a decision to request distribution of bridge, road, safety, and accountability funds.
Mike, it might help with some of the questions that were had is, why are we going through this process? To explain that for the public so that they understand why this process is different than how we usually do things for maintenance funds.
This money came from the increase in the gas fuel taxes, I believe, 2 years ago. Each county's given a certain amount of money depending on the amount of roads they have and then their road base. And then this is other allocated funds that you have to request from the DOT, I believe it is. And then if you don't request those funds through this access, then those funds go back to the state and then they can go to a different county. So if you don't use your funds through a county system, then they go back. And you can also, above and beyond this project, if your project comes in less than the money that you're getting, then that money can be used for other road maintenance areas. So it's a way to give counties more money for road maintenance. It started out, I believe, at 10%. The highway patrol ended up taking 5%, and somebody else took, so I think we ended up getting like 4% of what we were supposed to get. So the legislator divvied up some more. So that's where the money comes from and why the funds have to be allocated and requested.
So like each county then, the road fuel taxes that is collected through the state, they calculate which county, how much has been collected in each county. And then the county gets a percentage of that was collected
Yeah.
to be applied to such a program as this.
Yep.
Either use it or lose it?
Yep. So every county pretty much uses it. I don't know why you would not use it.
Did I miss what the amount was? I apologize.
What,
I looked at it last night, it's a little over $48,000.
yeah. Any other discussion? So we'll entertain a motion to approve the request.
So move.
Is there a second?
No, second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the request for distribution of bridge road safety accountability funds. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries.
I have my original from there if you want it.
So we'll go to our 10:30, Mary Hendrickson, Public Works Director, restructure of solid waste and road bridge administrative assistant.
Thank you again, Commissioners. Couple of things I'm handing out to you is the job description. that I put together. And some financial information. Did I give someone 2 copies of that? I did, Daryl.
I did.
Thank you. All right, so. A couple of weeks ago, I'm sorry, and I don't recall the date for sure, you had given me approval to start the process to hire an admin assistant for the Public Works Department. And after kind of thinking about how things are going, what I really need, and looking at what's been happening at solid waste, and then talking to my solid waste board, they had determined and are in full support of combining, instead of having one more person, of combining an attendant position with my admin and also make them an equipment operator, and house that position up at the transfer station. So what you'll see in the job description is that it addresses the administrative duties as well as the operator duties. And what I foresee is right now I have 2 full-time operators at the transfer station. One of them drives the canister truck and hauls the canisters from our rural canister sites up to the transfer station. The other one operates the excavator and the loader, fills the transfer truck at the transfer station, and then drives that truck to Helena for disposal. What I have proposed is having, and I do have one site attendant that has been dedicated to the transfer station because we get a lot of traffic up there. So the job description will reflects those duties that I have proposed. The second page, the 1-page document that I gave you, I went through and I looked at the costs associated with having one person for 35 hours a week at 52 weeks a year. So we're looking at a person with 1,400 hours per year. And then I went through and calculated the fringe associated with someone with 35 hours a week, and came up with a total wage plus benefits of $40,431.96. What I've determined is that person would be paid 60% from solid waste and 40% from roads, because what I was looking for is an administrative assistant that would do half-time roads, half-time solid waste. And I increased the solid waste because I would like someone available there to be able to operate the equipment at the transfer station when one or the other of my staff up there are out for some reason, whether it's vacation or sick leave. So I looked at what we've gotten from revenues from July 1st up to August 13th. And these are revenues from disposal charges at the transfer station itself. Debbie had given me a revenue report on revenues for disposal charges, and it did have some assessments in there, so I subtracted the assessment charges out of that. And from July 1st to August 13th, we've seen revenues from disposal charges as $15,337.99. So that's quite a bit in 2.5 months. I'm sorry, a month. That's just a month and a half. Oh boy, I made it. That should be September. I'm sorry. It is 2.5 months. Instead of August on your sheet, it should say July 1st to September 13th. So in 2.5 months, we've gotten over $15,000 in revenue just from people coming up to the transfer station. Then I went back and I looked at tipping fees with Tri-County Disposal versus Lewis and Clark County. From January 1st to August 31st of 2018, our total Cost of tipping fees to Tri-County was $99,845.87. That same time period this year, 2019, our tipping fees were $77,921.22. So we've realized a savings of $21,924.65. Then I went back and I looked at savings specifically from since June 1st, since that's the day that we implemented the changes in canister site management. So from June 1st to August 31st of 2018, our total tipping fees were $44,234.10. Since we implemented that change on June 1st, our tipping fees went down to $29,753.10. So we've realized a savings. That difference is $14,481 right there in just tipping fees. And then I wanted to go then and look at fuel costs, what we've seen in fuel costs, if we've seen a reduction. So from June through August of 2018, our total fuel costs for those 3 months was $11,387.44. And this year, from June to August of 2019, our fuel costs were $8,585.83. So since we've implemented that change, we don't make as many trips to these rural canister sites as we have in the past. And we've seen a fuel savings of $2,801.61 in those 3 months. So if I combine the tipping fees, the savings in the tipping fees from June 1st to August 31st, along with the fuel savings from that same time period, we see a total savings of $17,282.61. And then when I add the revenue from disposal charges since July 1st, we have a savings plus revenue equal to $32,000 or $32,620.60. So what I have proposed here is the solid waste, if solid waste covers 60% of those wages, like I said, we're looking at $24,259.18. And with the savings that we've seen to date, we've seen over $32,000 in savings and revenues combined. So
one thing I don't see reflected here, Mary, is the amount of assessments that we received. It's close to $4,000, is that right? In far as for like hang tags?
yes.
That we've recovered from Department of
Yes.
Revenue.
Actually, and I didn't put, I'm in the process of putting that list together right now, Daryl.
Right.
Because I've got to get that information to Department of Revenue.
Right.
And I haven't had time.
Mhm.
I have, I would say at least $4,000
Right.
right now.
Okay.
So my request to you today, my request to you today is for your approval to combine the admin assistant position with site attendant. That will also be an equipment operator position up at the transfer station. I'm proposing to house this position at the transfer station. We do have an office up there. They have access to the network, access to email, access to everything that I would need that individual to do. If there was a reason that I had to have that person come to the courthouse to do some research here, that would be, I would cover that at the transfer station. They would do that at a time when one or the other staff members are there. So, but we have seen, just looking at the revenues from disposal charges since July 1st. I didn't go back and look at June, but just since July 1st, because we have our attendant up there, what she's doing right now is she is checking people in, she is invoicing people, she's providing, some great assistance to people up there. So, and we brought in over $15,000 in the last 2.5 months. And the salary that I'm proposing is within the range of the classification for that position.
So Mary, your revenue for disposal charges, is that your construction waste, whatever people are hauling to the transfer station?
Yes, it's for the non-household waste that people are bringing in, and we have to send to the landfill.
Mary, I appreciate the spreadsheet you gave us. You really answer all my questions before I have a chance to ask them,
Good.
so thank you for that.
Good.
If this was 2 positions, Mary, rather than combining
Mhm.
together, how much more would that be? Just, no, you can't give me a definite number,
I
but
can't, I'm just trying to think of what it was that, I had proposed 28 to 30, not to exceed 30 hours a week. I think we were looking at $14, $15 an hour for that. That would be, if I can do the math in my head really quick, half-time, 1,000 hours, $15,000.
yeah.
As opposed to the 40 now because of the benefits.
Right.
But I definitely have the money in the roads budget for the 40% portion. And I do believe, my projected revenue from disposal charges for non-household waste was $20,000 this year. And we are 3/4 of the way there in 2.5 months. So I do believe that we will continue to capture revenue, that we should have, in all honesty, we should have been receiving all along. But we hadn't until we had someone up there full-time that was actually doing the work to capture that. So I do believe that that position will more than pay for itself, just in the disposal charges. I mean, as we see right now with the savings in tipping fees and fuel costs, plus the revenue, we've already exceeded what the solid waste portion of that position would be.
And then anticipating the loan payment that we know we have coming up, and also this position here, you still feel that your budget can support that?
I do, because I did have excess, when I did my budget for solid waste this year, I did have a projected excess of funds after all of our expenditures were figured in. So I do, we'll be able to pay the deficit, make the ICAP loan payment, and still fund the department.
When we came up with this plan to create the Public Works position, our plan was to consolidate our resources so that we could actually bring them together. It was also to take 3 supervisory positions and create 1. By adding an administrative assistant, we're still in the realm of saving a lot of money for the county. And it makes sense because Mary is paid above administrative assistant work. The other thing is one of our plans with combining those positions was to, again, share the resources versus building silos or building divisions. And then when we did hire Mary asked us for support and we gave it to her. So I think she's demonstrated that this is a sound plan, still continues to save the citizens money and streamlines the department or departments.
And Wayne, did you have something?
Yeah, Dwayne Hall. I'd like to know what the cost of all these little buildings, man hours, structures, all of that stuff was. Is that in on this, or what is it?
No, that's not in on this.
See, that's the thing. You're showing a profit, but we've got a heck of a loss going with what you've done.
The total materials, I had not figured in wages yet, and I did report this to my solid waste board. The total material expenditure for all the changes, that's the signs, the gates, the locks, everything, the wood, was a little over $22,000.
For the labor and all?
No, I said I did not figure in wages to that.
See, that's,
And I do understand that, but understand that we are sending less waste to the landfill because we are segregating the waste at the canister sites. We are sending people up to the transfer station that have waste that cannot go in these canisters. And, you know, the majority of people that I have talked to, and I get calls from time to time from folks that say, you know what, it's working great. They're glad that we've finally done something about it. So I'm encouraged by that. And we are seeing people at the transfer station that now it seems like everyone understands, you know, why we had to put this in place. And again, I do believe that we will take care of our deficit situation in short order.
Melinda?
You said you had a $15,000 savings for people going up to the dump, correct? Or whatever that was?
Those were revenue, that's not savings, that's actual revenue
Actual
that
revenue,
we
okay.
received.
Okay, and so then you said you had to also then take some of that out to the other place, to Helen or whatever. So how much is the actual savings? Because you have to pay to take that in, correct? Or not
Right,
savings,
and
but in revenue.
we would pay that anyway.
Okay.
So I didn't look at wages, I
Okay.
looked at fuel.
Okay,
So, and last week we only made 2 trips to the Lewis and Clark County landfill. We've been making 3. Since June 1st, we've been making consistently 3 trips a week to Lewis and Clark County landfill, whereas this same time last year, we were making 5, 7, 8 trips a week to the landfill. So we have seen that savings, we've seen the savings reflected in our fuel costs for the last, from June to August, in 3 months, we saved about $2,800 just in fuel costs.
And also, I mean, you didn't figure in your equipment saving cost either. You
Right,
know, your wear and tear on your vehicles.
right,
And, you know, maintenance and tires, all that kind of stuff.
yes.
That's not figured in that cost.
No, it's not.
So
But
that's
that comes out to about, you know, everything I looked at when I was going through this initially, my recollection is it's about $1.38 a mile is what the maintenance costs are associated with each specific piece of equipment. That's about the industry standard for that.
thank you for clarifying.
You bet.
So, Mary, roughly what's the cost of each trip?
Oh, I didn't figure that out at one point in time. Round trip,
I got some of this information that you
Okay.
gave me, and you tell me if it's right. You put down for one of the semis, it's $1,600 a month. And for the canister truck, it was $1,500 a month, is what you were.
yes. So that would be about, and that's based on 5 trips a week. So $1,600 a month, 4 weeks a month. That's $400 a week, $200 a trip.
Okay.
I will move that we grant the restructure request of the Public Works Department as presented by Mary, along with combining the position into a full-time administrative assistant slash operator position as presented.
Yes, Alan?
Yes, Alan Wright. I guess, you know, by listening to what was was being said here, as far as revenues that were being brought in, it's kind of like the highlight because we're in our prime construction season. And depending on what, through the winter months, this new full-time position would cost as far as what revenue to be brought in. And I guess one of the other things I have a question of is, because of our form of government that we have, our local government, is administrator applicable to our local government? Within,
What are you?
well, because we have a constitutional form of government for our local government. And we went through this with Elaine and Laura and Elaine Mann several few years back.
Elaine Gravely.
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah.
And it was not applicable. That term is not applicable to our local government.
I'm not asking for an administrator. I'm asking for an administrative assistant.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. Are you considered as our administrator?
No,
Oh.
I'm not. Any number, there are a number of administrative assistants. They
Right,
help
but
with
okay.
administrative duties.
Because actually, I was gonna ask that question along the way,
Yeah, no, I'm not an
Okay.
administrator.
but I always did not. Okay.
Okay.
Pardon me.
Yes,
Mr.
Debbie?
Chairman, I just have a quick question. You ran so many numbers, I was trying to keep track. Is this a 40-hour-a-week job or?
It's 35,
35.
yes.
So the motion's been made to approve this request. Is there a second?
I would second with the question, please.
Okay.
So I guess,
Yeah.
tell me what you feel that that person will be doing from the road department side of things.
So I have the PubWorks software, data entry, lots of data entry, running reports, because what I want to figure out is, I want to be able to give you, when I come in and ask for any number of things, I mean, I can't think of what I would ask for right now, off the top of my head.
Well, I think it's
But-
gonna help you in knowing what your cost per
It
mile
is.
is to maintain roads and
Exactly.
and things like that. right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes, so I'm looking at that. I do have to deal with the approach permits that we have and deal with the issue of unpermitted approaches that we have right now. One very large task is to have someone come in, scan, and then catalog all of the approved approach permits that we have in the county right now. I don't have a log of those anywhere, and I really need one so that I can look and see where these are, and compare that to what we have for unpermitted, unapproved approaches, and determine what course of action we need to take for that.
I know a project that we talked about earlier in the year was GPS on all of our culverts and
Yes.
things like that. Would you
Yes.
envision this person being able to do something like that?
I do, especially, you know, depending upon whether we have an open winter like some people are saying, or whether or not snow starts flying in October. I do, because things will slow down in solid waste. There's a lot of work that, in solid waste, that administrative work that I would like this person to do. But by the same token, if we do have an open winter, that is another area, that's another task that I would like this person to be able to do.
Do you still think that you're going to need a road superintendent at some point?
I don't know if superintendent is the
Okay.
right word. I don't know if
Yeah.
that's gonna describe what it is that I think we need.
Okay.
So the motion's been made and seconded to approve this request for a operator administrator attendant assistant. Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries.
One thing that I do need to talk to Mary about is to make sure that we follow our process as far as for advertisement. I think Michelle Edmonds gave us some suggestions as
Right.
far as for,
I have a meeting scheduled with
Okay.
Michelle.
That we advertise it correctly and all of that. Veterans preferences is one of the big things that she mentioned that gets overlooked a lot of times. And so make sure that we follow that process
All right.
correctly.
Yep, you bet.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mary, are you planning to advertise in-house though first?
Yes.
I would strongly
I am.
recommend that.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
So move on to Mike Conkey, DES grant plan to purchase used sheriff's vehicle for DES.
Commissioners, you have that handout I gave you this morning?
Yep.
Should be handouts here. Let's get one. Oh, several months ago, Montana DES sent out a notice of funding opportunity, and I visited with you a little bit briefly about that time. And what this is, some federal funds that are left over from the different counties in Emergency Management Performance Grant Program, and then the counties that didn't spend all their allotment, they turn it back to the state, and other counties can apply. I applied. I have $6,000 in my CIP for the purpose of buying a DES vehicle. And then I got that grant, came in. We have not accepted that grant. That's what we're here today to do. I propose that we purchase a used vehicle from the Sheriff's Office. The information's there. This is the vehicle that was used by retired Captain Seth Wenzel, four-door. And let's see, mileage, blue book, and then the match on funding there. And then the second page of what I gave you this morning is that grant application that we submitted to Montana DES back in, I think it was in June, May or June, I can't remember.
Is the mileage proportional to the runtime? I mean, has this vehicle been, Brandon always talking about running all the time, is this thing?
It's been, it was in patrol for probably 2 years, and then it went to administrative vehicle, so it's not been a patrol vehicle like the other ones, so.
Okay.
It's, I would say a little bit more, but nothing like,
Okay.
our patrol cars. This is a truck that Sheriff Ludwig, drove, I think, the last 2 years of her career, so kinda
Right.
maybe it will.
Parked over here on the side street, across from the detention center. North Walnut.
So what vehicle do you use now, Mike? to do
My
your- to
personal
do your
vehicle?
duties? You use your personal vehicle?
I do for responding. At times I have checked out a vehicle from the motor pool,
Mhm.
and the difficulty with that is if I take it out like on flood, then when I turn that back in, I have to take time to clean that out, get the mud out of it, and wash it.
Mhm.
And then if I get called out again the next day, do the same thing. What most of the county DES coordinators have done is they have a vehicle that's assigned to them that you can put plans, laptop, computer, phones, two-way radio and stuff in there, so that if you evacuate the courthouse, you've got all that resource with you, that stuff with you. Or you end up in the southern end of Broadwater County and stuff. Right now, I've just been using my vehicle.
Does our insurance cover you while you're using your vehicle, or county insurance?
Mine does, yes.
No, does the county's insurance cover you?
As a county employee, yes, if I turn it in.
No, you're missing my question. Do you know if our county insurance will cover you if you're involved in an accident? Will it pay for your vehicle?
If I'm using my personal vehicle?
Mhm.
No, my insurance company pays for that.
That's right.
It's a risk I take
So
every
it's-
time I drive out.
Mhm.
It's not a high priority, but it's just, we had an opportunity for a funding application. I've been advised, all the department heads have been advised to apply for federal grants.
Mhm.
Mike, if I may, I have a question for Brandon. Hey, Brandon, I understand this is different than the other vehicles that you guys have given like to Extension last year. This vehicle has not been used as a patrol vehicle, it's still